out here in churches shouting and then going home after I just shouted to have the cheap sex. Like, how does that work? Hey y'all, welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you are new to Soulful Key, I consider you a VIP. And if you're an OG and you know me, thank you for supporting Key. All right, so you can already tell by the title of this video that we're going to be talking about some things. Okay, we're going to be getting into all of the tea, everything that is everything. I got some explaining to do. I was a fraud. And I am here to tell my story. Let's just go ahead and jump into it. So, I've had a lot of people ask me, like, how did you even start like this whole journey on, discovering God and getting to know him and like reading the message? My journey, I'm being honest. My journey did not start the way that I probably would have wanted it to. So let's backtrack just a tad. Back in 2020, I lost a lot of things, but one thing specifically that I really had to let go of was a relationship. I idolized marriage. I idolized this person. As much as I would have liked to point the finger at the other person, there were a lot of things that were inside of me that just did not line up with who God really called me to be. Things that I was doing, there were things that I was saying, there were things that I was thinking that just weren't good, if I'm being honest. They just were not good. So during that time, that was kind of like my rock bottom. There were things that I was responding to out of trauma, out of fear, out of insecurities that I honestly did not realize were there. God gave me a mirror. Like, he gave me a mirror so that I could see me outside of me. I cried out. I was like, Lord, what is it? What do you want from me?
What more do you want from me?
And so I was like, okay, I've gone to church. I was actually raised in the church. I really never had a full understanding of who God was and his character. And so during that time, honestly, 2 years before, back in 2018, I was sent a video called Crazy Faith by Pastor Michael Todd of Transformation Church. I didn't watch it. I honestly did not watch it until 2020, 2 years later, when I was going through. I watched that message and I was filled. When I say filled, y'all, cup runneth over type of filled. Like, that message just ignited something in me. It kind of like piqued my interest. Like, who is this God? Because right now I'm feeling like I'm living hell on earth. And that's not the God that I know, because like, the one that I think I know, he like the big bad wolf. Like, you don't go to him, you don't talk to him, because he gonna strike you down. He gonna get you. So when Pastor Todd was like just talking about this God and like how he had crazy faith, I was like, okay, I want to know a little bit more. I started watching more of his videos and I kind of started applying some of the things that he was talking about in his sermons to my life. I was like, at this point, I really don't have anything to lose. I'm losing a lot. And it's worth a try. The song say try Jesus. I ain't never really tried him before, so why not? Fast forward to maybe a month or two later, after I was watching a few of his videos here and there, not like, consuming them all the time. That was kind of like later on down the line. But one of the things that I also started doing was reading my Bible. And if you don't know, y'all, I hated reading the Bible. Like, when I say I hated reading the Bible, I hated reading the Bible. It was not anything that was appealing to me. I didn't understand it, especially the Message version, which is so crazy because the number one version of the Bible that I strayed away from because it was just so long is the version that I read every day now. I was just reading it because I'm like, okay, this version makes more sense and I'm supposed to read my Bible, right? So let me just read it. There was this video that I had watched of Pastor Todd's. I can't remember what series it was a part of, but it was one of his older series. And he was talking about like putting timers on your phone to remind you, like really getting intentional about reading the Bible. I put 4 alarms on my phone to remind me to read the Bible. As I'm reading more, there were things that were starting to convict me. Mind y'all, I was just reading just to be reading until like, oh, I read my Bible verse for the day. You know, I did what I needed to do and I go on about my day. I'm still sinning. I'm still doing whatever I want to do. I'm really not talking to God. I'm just watching some of these messages and then I started reading verses. But God has a special way of working in each and every one of our lives. So although I had the wrong intent behind reading the Bible, God used that to really get my attention. And from that day on, I can vividly remember me like really wanting to know more and more about God. There was this specific verse in the Bible. It is Galatians 5:19, and I'm actually going to post it right here so you guys can read along with me. Galatians 5:19 through 21 in the Message version of the Bible. This is what it says. It's obvious what kind of life develops out of trying to get your own way all the time. Repetitive, loveless, cheap sex. A stinking accumulation of mental and emotional garbage, frenzied and joyless grabs for happiness, trinket gods, magic show religion, paranoid loneliness, cutthroat competition, all-consuming yet never satisfied wants, a brutal temper, an impotence to love or be loved, divided homes and divided lives, small-minded and lopsided pursuits, the vicious habit of depersonalizing everyone into a rival, uncontrolled and uncontrollable addictions, ugly parodies of community. I could go on. Now, y'all, when I read this verse, I had never seen this verse before a day in my life. Like, this was the very first time I had ever come across this verse. This verse stood out to me the most because everything on that list I was experiencing in that moment. Okay. And then the next verse made it a little bit better. This is 22 through 23. But what happens when we live God's way? He brings gifts into our lives, much the same way that fruit appears in an orchard. Things like affection for others, exuberance about life, serenity. We develop a willingness to stick with things, a sense of compassion in the heart, and a conviction that a basic holiness permeates things and people. We find ourselves involved in loyal commitments, not needing to force our way in life, able to marshal and direct our energies wisely. It literally started piquing my interest even more to ask God, how do I get the things by living your way? How do I even live your way? Like, what does that even look like? How do I, like, where do I start? Like, this is a lot. I'm so used to everything in the list before. Y'all, cheap sex, divided lives, uncontrollable addictions. I was dealing with all of that. I was smoking every single day. I'm talking about blunts on blunts on blunts. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, I was just like, oh my goodness, this is my life right now. Like, this is really what I'm dealing with. And why have I never been told this? I'm sorry. I've grown up in the church all my life. Why is this my first time seeing this? One of the things that I also love about my journey is that I did not truly find God in the church. I was in my apartment by myself and he met me right there in that moment. I did not know any other way outside of Galatians 5:19 through 21. All I knew was the magic show, y'all, magic show religion. I'm out here in churches shouting and then going home after I just shouted to have the cheap sex. Like, how does that work? That is one of the things that I want to bring to my Read the Message blog and some of these videos that I plan to record, is really showing like how God saw me, how he showed up for me, but it was through me getting to know him. Because I'm telling y'all, after that, it was just like, okay, I want to know a little more. The way that God had his hand on me through my journey, through my healing, the way he peeled back the layers, the way that he was pruning things off of me, and it all hurt in the moment, but an olive has to go through the shaking, the beating, and the pressing in order for its oil to run, you know? And what makes it so bad is, y'all, the verse says it's obvious. It's obvious what happens when you try to live life the way you want to live it. Like, it didn't immediately change the things that I was doing. Even after I read that verse, I was still having the cheap sex. I was still doing magic show religion. I still had an uncontrollable addiction. But what it did do is it piqued my interest enough for me to ask God, how do I fix this? Help me. I need help, because this is all that I know. This is how I've been living my life at the time I was 26 for 26 years. So I'm going to need help in walking out. I want the peace. I want the serenity. I want the joy. I want all of that. Like, I want all of those gifts, but I don't even know how to obtain them. I said all that to say, even with me still doing those things, even with me just reading my Bible for sport, God was using that to show me his glory, to show me that, hey, I have something else for you. Like, I know you've been living this way, but I got a little something different. And if you stick with me, I will show you. If I'm being honest, did I want to stop having sex? No. Did I want to stop smoking weed? Absolutely not. But God has a way of healing the broken parts, so I don't seek outside things to help fill me up on the inside. I have God that I can talk to, that is there and willing to listen at any moment of the day. He does not turn a deaf ear. He's going to hear me. And like I said, those things did not change overnight. It didn't even change the fact that I was still reading my Bible for sport. I was still doing it just so I could see my little streak, in my Bible app, little check mark for the day. That opened up a little bit of conversation. I just asked a simple question, like, how do I even do this, God? That was it. That's all he needed. That's all he needed. He just needed that little bit. From there, here we are. I just want to encourage each and every one of you to maybe start reading the message. I don't know. I don't know where you are in your life. I don't know the things that you have going on, but I do know that there is somebody that can take your world right now, heal the things that are broken, and give you something new that you will be able to sustain for the rest of your life. My verse was Galatians 5:19, but your verse may be something completely different. And if you start dialogue with God, trust and believe that he is going to see you through. He's going to help you with whatever you ask him for help for. I promise, y'all. Read the message. That's why I got the sign language R, because it's a promise. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, I hope you will continue to be well. I love you. Bye.